Welcome to your first day as a student engineer here on the New Haven line. Follow the markers to approach the empty route map billboards around the station and interact with them to place the route maps. Take some time to explore the station and find other tasks. Open pizza boxes, find toy taxis, and ignite the torches on all the mini Statue of Liberties scattered across the route. Stamford is the second largest city in Connecticut and the second busiest station on Metro North, behind only New York City's Grand Central Terminal. This line was originally built by the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad, otherwise simply known as the New Haven. It connected with the New York Central at Grand Central Terminal and the Pennsylvania Railroad at Penn Station. At New Rochelle, the line to Penn Station diverges, passing the freight yard at Oak Point before leaping over the East River on the Hell Gate Bridge. New Haven once ran intercity trains on this line, and now it's used by Amtrak and freight trains. Meanwhile, Metro North commuter trains head to Grand Central, changing electrification at speed from AC overhead wires to DC third rail before entering the former New York Central track shared with the Harlem line. Grand Central Terminal has 44 platforms, the most of any station in the world, stacked in 2 underground levels. Deep below the terminal is Grand Central Madison, with 8 more tracks serving Long Island Railroad trains. Freight traffic is limited along this busy passenger corridor. CSX loads trash trains at Oak Point Yard near the Hell Gate Bridge and runs transfer trains over the bridge to freight connections in Long Island. Any freight trains which must use mainline tracks mostly run at night to avoid disrupting passenger traffic. Freight trains are handled by the CSX SD40-2. Passenger trains feature the Metro North M8 dual-mode electric multiple unit and the Amtrak ACS-64 electric locomotive with Amfleet coaches.
Carry commuters aboard the M8 to Grand Central Terminal or weave through the traffic in the ACS-64 on intercity trains to Penn Station. The Big Apple needs your help to ride the rails.
In this training module, you will be taken through the operation of this M8 electrical multiple unit. When you are ready, climb aboard. Sit in the engineer's seat. Please remember to close all doors behind you. For this introduction, you will be driving the train a short distance and performing passenger operations. The master key is used to activate the control desk. Set the reverser. This controls the direction of travel. Set the headlights to let others around us know this train is operational. This unit has a combined power and brake handle called a master controller. Engage this as indicated to begin the startup procedure. You will need to charge the brake pipe before you can release the brakes. If you move the master controller to the emergency position, the brake pipe will be exhausted, and you will need to charge it again to recover the train. Open the doors to allow passengers to board. Manufactured by Kawasaki Heavy Industries, these trains first entered service in 2011. Move the master controller into the power range to get moving. Efficiently maintain speed and reduce motor stress and maintenance requirements. Keeping to speed limits is important. If you begin overspeeding, apply a small amount of braking force using the master controller. Both the M7 and the M8 are capable of running in a 750-volt DC mode with third rail shoes. The M8 is also equipped with a pantograph for use where overhead wires are available. In fact, the M8 routinely swaps from third rail to overhead while on the move. The M Metropolitan series was first introduced in 1968 with the M1, designed to replace the stock which had been in use since 1908. The new modern stock proved to be a success, and it has since seen many updates, such as the M3, M7, and M8. You're approaching the station. Gently bring the train to a stop using the master controller. Open the doors to allow passengers to board. Close the doors and drive to the next station unguided. work. That concludes all of the basics of operating this train. In this training module, you will be taken through the operation of an ACS-64 electric locomotive. During this brief introduction, we will go through the critical driving controls and passenger operations. When you are ready, climb aboard. Take a seat in the engineer's position. Please remember to close all doors behind you. To unlock the control desk, insert the reverser handle. The reverser sets the direction of travel and activates many of the train's systems. The brake mode switch controls the brakes across the train and features 4 different modes: trail, test, freight, and passenger. As we are performing passenger operations, set it to passenger. To begin loading passengers, you will need to open the doors. It is time to depart. Close the passenger doors. For this introduction, you will be completing a full lap of the circuit and performing passenger operations once you arrive at the next stop. Let others know this locomotive is in operation by setting the headlights. This train is now ready to go. Release the brakes and apply some power to get moving. Coasting is a method used to efficiently maintain speed and reduce motor stress and maintenance requirements. The Amtrak City Sprinters, or ACS, were first built by Siemens in October 2010 and were designed to operate the long-distance high-speed services on the Northeast and Keystone corridors in the United States. These locomotives were part of Amtrak's modernization program and were built with the intention of replacing the previously used electromotive diesels, which by then had been in operation since the late 1970s. The Amtrak City Sprinters have a power output of up to 8,600 horsepower and are capable of pulling 18 cars, reaching a maximum operating speed of 125 miles per hour. the station, apply a small amount of brake force to come to a gentle stop. Nice work. Now that the train has stopped, we can open the passenger doors. Good work. That concludes all the basics of operating this locomotive. Today you'll be learning how to drive this SD40-2 locomotive in CSX railway livery. The SD40-2 started production in 1972, with the last unit being built in 1986. Rated at 3,000 horsepower and weighing at least 164 tons, the SD40-2 is rated with a continuous tractive effort of 831,000 pounds. Over 4,000 SD40-2 locomotives were produced by EMD in various configurations, and many are still in use today, 50 years after they were first introduced. When you're ready to begin, climb aboard. Sit in the engineer's seat. You'll now go through the steps needed to take over this locomotive. Firstly, you will need to set the generator field switch. This needs to be enabled for the throttle to control the power of the train. This locomotive requires the reverser handle to be inserted before operations can begin. The reverser determines the direction of travel. Switch the front headlights on. Regardless of the time of day or weather, all locomotives must have their headlights on. When getting moving, it's worth remembering the following sequence: independent on, auto off, throttle on, independent off. Let's go through that slowly and understand why. First, fully apply the independent brake. This will apply a brake to the formation you are currently in and will ensure the train won't move. Next, fully release the automatic brake. This will release the brakes on the rest of the train, but you won't go anywhere because those independent brakes are holding you. Now apply a small amount of throttle and verify that power is generated. Finally, release the independent brake and you'll start moving. This is a great practice to get used to because it will help you with two key areas. The first is that you verify that the train will take power before you release the brakes. You don't want to find yourself without power and having to hurriedly put the brakes back on. The second is that having power applied as you release the independent brakes ensures that you won't roll backwards. On steeper hill starts, you may even need to start with more power, and this is something you can practice and get used to as you find yourself out on the railroad. If you have any locomotives on the rear of the train behind freight cars, you can press the banking comms button to enable radio communications with those remote units. This will ensure that they operate their throttle and brakes in unison with your own locomotive, giving you much-needed extra control on your journey. Press it now just to get practice, even though there aren't any connected. Coasting is a method used to efficiently maintain speed and reduce motor stress and maintenance requirements. Come to a stop in the indicated position using the independent brake. Independent brakes apply only to the locomotives in the formation and are much faster to apply and release than the automatic brake, which operates on the entire train. Change direction with the reverser, then change the junction indicated, either by walking over to it or using the map. Before proceeding, check the two couplers are in the right position to allow for automatic coupling. Look at the rear coupler on your train and ensure it's open. Operate the cut bar if it is closed to release it. Next, walk over to the freight cars you're going to couple to and check their coupler knuckle is open too. Operate the cut bar here to open the knuckle. Before coupling cars, always check the knuckles are open or you'll just bounce right off. The junction is correctly aligned and the cars are ready to couple. Couple up to the cars by gently driving into them at under 5 miles per hour. Most freight uses automatic knuckle couplers, so they will automatically couple once they connect. If your speed is too high, you risk derailing when coupling. Apply some brakes to slow your approach. Change direction with the reverser, and move the train forward into the indicated siding. Remember to apply a little power before releasing brakes. While it's not strictly necessary in the training center, this is the time to start forming great habits. Since you have freight cars coupled, you should slow down using the automatic brake and get the extra braking effort from those freight cars. The automatic brake applies brakes throughout the entire train. Uncouple the cars, either by using the external camera or by walking to the coupler on foot. That's it for this training module.